So, you want to kill some zombies. I don't blame you. It's one of my favorite things to do. And we'll definitely be taking a look at that today because for this month of October, I want to cover games that influence me tremendously and are also affiliated with the themes of Halloween. And since they just remastered this game, Dead Rising, I figured it was worth to make a video about it. Strap in, get your food ready, relax. Ultimately, I hope you enjoy your visit at the zombie-infested mall that is Dead Rising. Now, before diving into the chaos of Dead Rising, I do want to take a moment to appreciate the game's development and origins because Capcom released this game in 2006, but I personally didn't even know this. I did this basically, I figured this out essentially studying the history of this game before I made this video. Dead Rising was technically the sequel to a game they released in 2000 called Shadow of Rome. Shadow of Rome, another Capcom title, was basically a third-person action-adventure set in ancient Rome that had similar themes of over-the-shoulder combat and environmental interactions and exploring map. Obviously the difference is you're fighting gladiators and soldiers as opposed to Dead Rising fighting zombies. And from what I understand, Capcom wanted to create a new game that had more appeal to the Western audience, in America in particular. And so creating this zombie apocalypse inside a shopping mall was the route that they wanted to go. Now, they argued that that was an organic thought, but it must be said, if you've ever seen George Romero's 1978 movie Dawn of the Dead, there's without a shadow of a doubt that they received influence or took influence from that movie. That movie I actually watched recently, a few months ago for the first time, and it is an incredible movie and incredibly influential, and it's hard not to see really how that movie has influenced the entire zombie genre. In particular, this game specifically, but many other movies and games, there's just this theme of fighting zombies in them all. Now, Capcom was obviously pulling some inspiration from this, and so much so that the owners of the rights to Dawn of the Dead filed a lawsuit, and thankfully Capcom did win this lawsuit. It was dismissed, and on the grounds that really fighting zombies in a mall is not something that you can claim ownership over. It is, in theory, if you were in America, a natural occurrence of events. So with all of this said, 2006, it was time for the Xbox 360. There was a World Cup that year. Italy won, which is close to my heart because I'm also an Italian citizen on top of being an American citizen, and I was in Italy at the time for the World Cup. Shakira released her Hips Don't Lie. We had Cars, the movie, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. It was a good year. And it was also a good year in the gaming industry because Dead Rising was an incredibly influential game to me. One that I always remembered, and because they released the remaster of this game, I figured it was super important to me and to everyone else to revisit what I view as a classic game. Yes, it may not be a top 10 game of all time, but it is definitely a very, very good game and will stick with me in my memory forever. I hope you enjoy the ride. Let's get to how we're going to survive the zombie apocalypse. So, what will we be covering in this video? In this guide, I should say. To start off with, this basically is a survival guide to Dead Rising. What is the premise of this? We'll cover what our objectives are, to understand the circumstances of the situation that we're in this game. Then we'll look at some of the tips we need to follow to survive, and we'll be using the survival, evasion, resistance, and escape principles in the United States Air Force Guide. Afterwards, we'll discuss, unfortunately, your mortality in this game and how you can come to terms with that. And then we'll talk about what happens in Endgame, what you should do, how you should play it. And then ultimately, we'll have some fun. So, let's get into it. Why are you here? Well, you play as a journalist, Frank West. And Frank West is trying to follow a good story. And what I like about this game is it doesn't tell you much beyond that. And so we must understand our objective here is to collect a story, take phenomenal photos, and investigate ultimately what is happening in this town. All of this takes place in Willamette Parkview Mall, which is in a fictional town of Willamette, Colorado. But if you know anything about Colorado, I suppose something like this could happen. So, throughout the game, remember to have fun. Capcom made this game to be lighthearted. It is ultimately, at the end of the day, a comedy because they have already a serious zombie game. If you look at Resident Evil, which is much more of a darker tone, this is a light tone. This is a game to have fun. It could be stressful to be stuck in a mall, to be dropped off with your demise, but ultimately it's about having fun, having a good laugh. In fact, I'd recommend maybe you have a drink before you play this game or while you're playing it. Understanding our circumstances, we've been dropped off. We have 72 hours to basically figure this out, and then our colleague in the helicopter that drops us off is going to pick us back up. So what do we do immediately? We want to figure out how we're going to survive. What are the basic necessities for survival? Well, if we look at the Air Force's guide on this, we basically know the core needs are personal protection, so what you wear, right? The things that you do to protect yourself on the outside. Sustenance, this could be like food, water, right? How you take care of yourself. Your health, medicine, first aid, things of that nature. And then travel. Travel basically is how we're going to traverse the area that we're in. What kind of vehicles are we going to use? What are the routes that we're going to take? But I would say above all things, what is most important when you arrive at this mall is to pre-plan everything. Take a moment on top of the roof of this mall to look at the map. When you look at the map, study where everything is. You have a full breakdown of all the different stores that are in this mall. The more that you plan this out, the better. Now, I would say what I like to do when I start this game, keeping all these survival needs in mind, is to first and foremost go get a vehicle and get the maintenance key in the garage. This is going to allow you to basically totally pre-plan the staging area for this mall. You're going to be able to traverse much easier without having to consistently go through these different stores. You can basically go underground, take a vehicle, and just shoot quickly to the area you need to go. This is going to be incredibly useful. You cannot complete all your objectives in this game without doing this. It needs to be done right away. The second piece that I would recommend immediately is to go to where the guns are stored. We need personal protection. We need weapons. You're going to be fighting zombies, but frankly, the most dangerous thing in the mall is actually the people who aren't infected. And we're going to need weapons to deal with them, and there is no other way to really do this successfully than to make sure you're well armed. So now that we've secured the maintenance key, which is going to allow us to travel quicker across the map, now that we've secured weapons to combat all the various threats in the mall, the next piece for me is going to come down to doing it in style, but I need to say something. The truth about Dead Rising is this. This is not your traditional game where you play, you start, you go through it, and you finish in one shot. Get this out of your head in the beginning. You are not going to survive your first attempt at Dead Rising. You're not going to be able to complete all the objectives. You're just not going to be strong enough from a XP and skill standpoint. And the game throws many things at you simultaneously, and you will have to ultimately choose what is more important. But I say, don't worry about any of that. Why don't we become one with the zombies? So if you got the DLC or the extended pass for this game, whatever it's called, I have a million names for it now, go change your clothes, become a zombie for this first run. Change into something more appropriate. Change your mindset. We're not leaving this mall this time. I'm taking everybody with me. Your goal, among all these other things that I'll talk about in the first run, will be to just gain as much XP as possible, while understanding the basic elements of your survival for the next run that you play. So what I did, play as a zombie, have fun, join the ranks. Now that you have your zombie gear on, now that we've secured weapons, we've got a key, we've changed our mindset. Now it's time to start collecting things in the mall, because this will carry over with you into the next run. So we're gonna go shopping for clothes, explore, look around, see what you like best, try to go through all the different stores and have fun. Ultimately, all of this you can wear in your next run more seriously. Of course, in a shopping mall, particularly in America, there's nothing better than eating. Here in Dead Rising, it's important in the Willamette Mall. The way that you're going to eat primarily is by drinking orange juice all the time. No, but seriously, orange juice is going to be a big part of your diet in the mall here. But one thing that you can play around with, and that I suggest you do early on, is to play around with the different mixes you can make in the various blenders located in the game. Paradise Plaza, the first location, there is a blender there, and you can start mixing food and drinks in there. And these various blended drinks will give you special abilities. For example, one allows you to run very quickly, which could be helpful running through the horde. Another one can be to basically make you invincible for a period of time. There's all kinds of different ones, and you can look up a guide on the various methods you can make. My purpose of this video is not to tell you everything, but to point out key factors of it. So now that we understand what we want to eat, now that we understand what clothes we want to wear, we've explored those areas of the mall. The other aspect that we're going to look at is ultimately Frank West is not in shape to deal with this. Frank West is a reporter, but he needs to get in shape in order to deal with hundreds of zombies, thousands of zombies you're going to kill. You're going to kill thousands of zombies, and Frank West is not in shape to do that. So how do we fix that? Well, there is an area of the mall where we can work out, and I recommend early on that you go here and do this. Now the beauty of this room is that it's one of the only rooms in Dead Rising where the doors automatically close, and here you could spend as much time as you want. Spend time lifting weights, spend time running on the treadmill, spend time practicing your combos on the heavy bag. Doing all this will grant you XP. In here there will also be a book that allows you basically to do all the moves of a level 50 Frank West. As long as you have this book, you can do them whenever. I recommend you keep that book on you because it's gonna allow you to really wreak havoc on these zombies. And once you've done all your training, I'd recommend it's time to have fun and put that to the test. Go to the local food court and practice all the different moves and skills you've learned. So you've got in shape, you've got clothes lined up, you've got your food lined up. What else can Frank West do? Well, Frank West is not very educated. Frank West is kind of dumb. So now that we have so much time and we've accepted the fact that we're going to be a zombie and we're not going to make it out of here, we might as well have some fun and read some books. So go through the mall, go to the various bookstores, read the various books there. They're going to give you boost on your stats. In Paradise Plaza, there is a book that gives you more XP for killing zombies. I recommend you keep that book on you at all times. In the food court of the mall, there's also a book at the top, scaffolding, where you can do more damage with your weapons. Now, if you combine this book with the Uzi found there in the food court, there's also an Uzi found in Paradise Plaza on one of the overhangs. This Uzi combined with the damage you can do with the added XP or the added damage points of that book, essentially you're going to be able to kill all the psychopaths in the mall rather quickly, which is going to make your life a lot easier. It's going to save you a lot of time. Now that Frank West is going to essentially be close to level 50, you don't have to be exactly level 50, but if you're close to it, it's a good time now to start preparing for the current endgame. And I'm not going to talk about the end game necessarily with you. I don't want to spoil the fun, but you're going to basically get to a point where the helicopter comes to pick you up. Now, one thing you're going to learn is that you have story missions and opportunities to save people. I would recommend in your first run to really focus on saving people and just entirely ignore the story. Do not focus on the story. You're just not going to complete it. Now, saving people in the mall as much as you can. Don't stress out if somebody dies. Ultimately, you're not going to be able to get everybody. But saving people is going to grant you a lot of XP and is going to get you closer to that level 50. And once you're close to that level 50, then in the next run, you're really going to be able to do almost everything all in one run. The point of saving people here is going to be very interesting. When you're saving individuals, there's going to be people who are hurt that you have to carry. There's going to be people who you have to hold hands. I've actually found that you can run through most of the zombies without actually fighting, so you don't necessarily need to fight. In the beginning, when I played this game, was like trying to kill those zombies in our way. You actually just run through the horde. Yeah, there are going to be times where you have to fend people off, but for the most part, you're actually able to get through it rather unscathed. So as you're hoarding people in and you're getting XP, this is going to move you closer to your objective. Ultimately, you are going to end the game at this point. At some point, you're going to run out of time, basically, and the helicopter is going to come pick you up. And then that leads us into our next run, where we are going to take things very seriously. In the next run, you take all the lessons that you've learned, everything that you've put together in your first run. You get rid of the zombie clothes that you were wearing. Now it is the time to really be Frank West, to understand what happened here at the Willamette Mall, and to put an end to this if you can. And this is, in my opinion, the fun part of the game, where it really starts to elevate. You have all of your abilities for the most part, so you can go through, you can save as many people as you can do the story missions simultaneously. One thing I would recommend truly is to try to knock out multiple things at once. If you're on the way to a mission, if you're walking there, try to save some people along the way. Take them with you. You can carry them with you through these missions. You're going to run across psychopaths throughout the game too. Here, the important goal is to basically always have weapons on you, guns. Now that you followed these principles, and if you do everything else just with fun, with an open heart, with curiosity, this game rewards your curiosity. If you do that, there's a lot of other things that I didn't mention, but I don't want to mention. Ultimately, it's about for you to have fun. There's just some tips that I would recommend you should take a look at. And look, this is my first time doing this. The video's all over the place, of course, and my mic quality, not very good, but my next video, the quality should be a little bit better, but we'll see. I'm gonna have a higher quality mic for these, but yeah, I think wrapping up, Dead Rising is an incredible game. It's extremely fun. It's a beautiful open world, but it has this constant tension because you're on a time. You're timed, right? A lot of games don't have a timer necessarily, but this is going to force you the sense of I have to keep moving. I only have a select amount of time. It's going to force you to kind of make decisions. It's going to keep you on the edge of your seat throughout the entire game, and frankly, I think that's a really unique aspect of this game, and many games don't have, and I think that's what makes this game stand out as a zombie game. Otherwise, you know, the stakes wouldn't be that high if you were playing it. You'd just be kind of walking around, killing as many people as you can. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you do get a chance to play Dead Rising and you implement some of the things that I said. This is a beautiful work of art by Capcom, and unfortunately some of the other Dead Rising games aren't as good as this one, but hey, it is what it is. We have the remaster. Go out, play it. I'd recommend you play it with a controller, but I play it on a computer. For me, that's better. Have fun. Try to do combinations of different skills and weapons, and enjoy your time in the Willamette Mall. Until next time, my friends, we'll do another video discussing some kind of Halloween-related game. Thank you, and take care.
A customer!
That guy